This is going to be a quick review. The reason being, this movie is best enjoyed going in absolutely blind. This is a 2022 Spanish psychological horror. I possibly might have been a victim of the hype train on this one because it has been paraded as one of the most disturbing films of all time, and it's specifically picked up a lot of steam this year. And to be fair, some of that is for good reason, right? Like, it does aim to shock, and I think for most people it will do that, so tick. But the way the movie was sort of sold to me was that made me think that it was like a never-ending onslaught of like disturbing shit. But it's not, right? Like, I found something like Martyrs or The House That Jack Built far more disturbing because they are constant and unrelenting. In this, something wild happens at the start, off camera, because of a stupid decision, and now everyone's reeling from it. After that initial event, which I will say is fairly shocking, but at the same time it's sort of set up to be a little bit silly and slapsticky. I don't know, it's just a bit odd. The movie pretty much peaks in its first 10 to 15, and then from then on it's like a weird drama. And it could also possibly be trying to be a dark comedy, I guess. But like, if you took... There's a certain scene in Hereditary, if you took that scene, it only goes for about 5 minutes in Hereditary, put it at the front and then made it stretch for 90 minutes, it wouldn't have the same effect, right? And that is sort of what this film does. I wanted to love it because my body was ready, and I don't mind disturbing stuff, right? But it didn't really disturb me in any lasting sense, and it was trying to make me... If it was trying to make me laugh, it didn't do that either. So I was sort of, unfortunately, left a bit like, okay, that was a movie, you know? Which bums me out, because I didn't really have any strong feelings about it either way. Because it didn't... I was like, okay, it didn't really have any effect on me. It didn't make me laugh, didn't disturb me. I didn't find the tension work, so it's just sort of a nothing film for me, which is unfortunate because people love this film, and I'm glad people love this film because it shows that there is a lot of love out there for more hardcore horror, and that's lovely. I like that. I want more hardcore horror. That's fine. But yeah, I just didn't do it for me. The coffee table follows a couple called Maria and Jesus who have welcomed their first child into the world. The stress of pregnancy and tried to cope with their new life as parents has somewhat put them at odds with each other, and you feel that tension straight away. The first we see is of the titular coffee table. Jesus wants to buy this like gaudy coffee table that looks like it could be in a Roman emperor house, and Maria fucking hates it, as I did too. It was an awful coffee table. And she also hates the obviously shady salesman spruiking it. They fight in the store. It's tense. Jesus gets the coffee table anyway. Something bad happens because of that, and we get to watch. Now, I will say, the acting in this movie is magnificent. Both Estefana de los Santos and Maria and David Pareja as Jesus are incredibly good actors. They sell the relationship 100%, and through almost a single scene, like that first scene, you get their entire relationship dynamic, and that's brilliant. That's also brilliant writing. Like, that's a really powerful scene, and I was like, I get everything about these two pretty much. Cool. They are not really likable characters, but they are believable. I also like that the character of Ruth, I also like the character of Ruth, who is like a 13-year-old neighbor who is obsessed with Jesus. She's quite funny, actually. Ruth's part of the movies. Her scenes were probably the funniest bits of this movie. They did actually make me laugh because she's so weird. And I do think she is probably the best character in the film, and I think she's the funniest addition to this movie. What I didn't like about the movie, though, is that I couldn't tell what movie it wanted to be. Like, I know it wanted to shock me, but like I said, it's one quick event that sets up the movie, and then it's just watching one character try to deal with that event, despite the fact that there's no way in hell they're possibly going to be able to cover it up in any facet. Like, stuff like Martyrs or Funny Games fucking drags you through despair and pain scene after scene after scene until you think it's too much, and then sometimes it gives you a relief valve, and then sometimes it doesn't. Usually the relief valve in those movies is an awful thing that happens, right? But this is so front loaded that after the spike you don't get anything else close to it for like fucking 80 minutes. Sorry, my kid's teething, and we've had no sleep. It just kind of fizzled along the whole movie. I feel like this could have been one of the greatest short films of all time, but they hamstrung it by making it like a 90-minute movie. I also think this wanted to be funny, and there were almost some Curb Your Enthusiasm moments. Like Ruth had some funny moments, but everything else falls flat. Like it didn't make me laugh. Like I could tell it was trying, but I was like, okay, yep, that happened. Like it just didn't work. So it didn't disturb me, and it didn't make me laugh. And that's unfortunately two of the selling points of this movie for people, it seems. Which is weird, because most disturbing horrors involving kids work on me, but this just didn't. Fuck me, I'm so sorry. And I was just left feeling a bit meh about it. I would only recommend going into this film if you like to watch shocking stuff. That is what this movie is about, and apparently it works on a lot of people, so horror is subjective. It might work on you too. So if you do like disturbing stuff like a Serbian film or Salo, maybe go in. But like I said, those two I think are far more disturbing than this film. Even though I will say, this is a better film than a Serbian film, I think. I recommend watching this if you love disturbing horror, you like gaudy coffee tables. Easy. I don't recommend watching this if you don't watch horror for shock value or you're a new parent. That's basically it. Seriously, this movie's probably only for like 1% of the population anyway. If you like this movie but want something more disturbing that does black comedy better, I highly recommend The House That Jack Built. It is an extraordinary film that follows Matt Dillon as a serial killer named Jack on his crime spree across America. The crimes are fucking shocking. They're more disturbing than anything in this movie, to be honest, and they just keep happening. Like, there's constant. And it actually has some laugh out loud moments in it. I know that sounds weird, but for as brutal as Jack is, he's also not the most amazing serial killer that he thinks he is. He thinks he's this like fucking boss. He's really egotistical, and he thinks he's the man, and he fucks up constantly, and it's really funny. And this movie is probably my number one pick for movies that nail both disturbing themes and dark comedies. If you want something darker and more disturbing than this movie, Snowtown's also a better bet than this. It has the single best portrayal of a realistic serial killer I've ever seen on screen. Daniel Henschel plays John Bunting, who was a real-life guy. All this happened. He used hypotoxic masculinity to convince a number of emotionally stunted and sadistic men to basically help him kill people in a rural town in South Australia. Bunting masks his sadisticness by only targeting like pedophiles and sex offenders, making him a bit of a local hero, which is how he starts becoming a mentor to a 16-year-old boy named Jamie. This movie is all about the atrocious things that transpired in that relationship with Jamie, right? Like, Bunting's a real prick of a human, but he's sort of Andrew Tate in the way he gets these kids in, and you're like, no, this is how it happens in real life. That is what Snowtown gives you. It is fucking bleak. It's one of the bleakest fucking things I've ever witnessed. It is truly a disturbing watch, and it's a good film too. It's a beautifully made film, and it's fucking sad and disturbing. If you want to be disturbed, Snowtown's your best bet. I think it's called The Snowtown Murders in America. Either way, you'll know it. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow for my final review for this year's Watchfest. I think I'll try to end this year with a bang, so I might watch The Medium, Don't Move, or Out of Darkness. All of them have sort of been burning a hole in my watch list this year. So, yeah, I might just check one of those out. Maybe I'll check two out. See how I go. Although I'm fucking yawning now, so we'll see what happens. Thanks, kid. Hopefully they're good. I always love to end this Watchfest on a fucking banger. That way my last review's a fucking banger. But we'll see what happens. Peace.